Hello learners, I am Dr. Teja Kalita and now I am going to discuss about the second part of the unit, globalization. In the first part, we have already discussed about the introduction of globalization, where we have discussed many issues including definition and the various aspects of globalization. Here it is the second video or second part of the unit globalization, and here we will give special emphasis on characteristics of globalization. Now, when we are saying about the characteristics of globalization, for that we have to know that this characteristics has been derived from the different definition which we have already found and we have already discussed in the previous video. So, on the basis of the definitions, explanation of the concept of globalization, some characteristics has been drawn. And so far as these characteristics are concerned, we also have to say that this characteristics highlights the transformative impact of globalization on communication, economic and international relations. Some of the key characteristics of globalization are discussed as follows. Number 1, overcoming geographical limitations. One of the most significant aspects of globalization is the ease with which geographical barriers have been overcome. In the contemporary era, advancement in the science and technology such as television, the internet and mobile communications have facilitated instant access to information from any part of the world. News and developments in any region can be disseminated globally within seconds, enabling countries to respond to emergencies swiftly and efficiently. This connectivity ensures that geographical distance no longer poses a challenge to the exchange of knowledge and ideas. As a result, individuals and governments can collaborate and provide assistance during crisis situations more effectively than ever before. The removal of these physical barriers has allowed business to expand their operations beyond domestic markets and tap into the global opportunities, leading to economic growth and cross-border collaboration. Number 2, rapid problem solving. When we are saying about globalization, we have to know that it has significantly reduced the time of requirement to address and resolve global issues. Due to interconnected nature of today's world, relationships between different countries have strengthened, making communication and collaboration much easier than ever before. And that is why this interconnectedness especially allows for the swift mobilization of resources and expertise to tackle challenges such as economic crisis, health emergencies and environmental concerns in a more coordinated manner. For example, during global pandemics, countries can share medical research, distribute vaccines efficiently, and provide humanitarian aid to affected regions. Rapid problem solving through globalization fosters given more importance and enables nations to respond effectively to complex challenges, ensuring stability and growth. The number 3 characteristic of globalization is improved international relation. Now, when we are saying about improved international relation, we'll find that so far as this particular characteristics is concerned, its role in enhancing international relation is something which must have to be taken into consideration or have to given into importance. Through globalization, countries can easily influence and support each other in addressing their respective challenges. This interconnectedness has fostered a spirit of cooperation and mutual assistance, facilitating diplomatic and economic ties. Additionally, if we are saying about globalization, we'll find that it has enabled individuals from different countries to establish personal connections, promoting culture exchange and understanding. So far as educational exchanges are concerned, we'll find that along with educational cultures, some educational and cultural exchanges, there are some other exchanges also which are in the field of tourism, and they are found these are the cases of globalization. Now, educational exchanges, tourism and social media platforms have contributed to bridging cultural gaps, fostering a sense of global unity. Our countries, as many countries become more independent. International organizations such as the United Nations and the World Trade Organization play a very, very crucial and significant role in mediating conflict and promoting global peace and stability. So in this respect, we can say that globalization is playing a very, very important role in this particular aspect. Now, the another characteristic of globalization is economic focus on globalization. As its core, globalization is primarily an economic phenomenon. It encompasses various aspects such as politics, technology and communication, but if we see more precisely, we'll find that its primary goal remains economic growth and development. Globalization aims to create a more interconnected and interdependent global economy by facilitating trade, investment, and the movement of capital across borders. The economic integration allows countries to benefit from each other's strength and resources, leading to mutual growth and prosperity. Now, if we see the multinational corporations, we'll find that they have emerged as key players in the global economy, driving innovation, creating employment opportunities, and fostering competition. However, the economic focus on globalization also presents challenges such as income inequality and the exploitation of labor in developing countries. Another characteristic which can be regarded to be an important one is the expansion of international trade and capital movement. Now, if we are saying about globalization, we'll find that globalization has to remarkable expansion of international trade and capital flows. With the advent of globalization, economic activity is no longer confined to specific geographical regions but extend beyond national borders. So far as business and investors are concerned, it can be said that they can now operate on a global scale, leading to increased trade, investment and economic collaboration between nations. This phenomenon has enabled countries to access new markets, diversify their economics and enhance their economic reliance. Now, so far as free trade agreement is concerned, we'll find that free trade agreement and regional economic blocs such as the European Union and the North American Free Trade Agreement, which is called NAFTA, have facilitated the seamless exchange of goods and services across borders. The expansion of international trade has also encouraged technological advancement and the transfer of knowledge. Further, can say that it has played tremendous role in economic development. Another characteristics in this concern is the development and growth as the ultimate goal. So far as globalization is concerned, or whenever we are giving emphasis on globalization, we'll find that its main aim is to give importance on the development and growth as the growth, and it is not only an economic growth but it is the overall growth of the globe. Okay, so according to Noam Chomsky, the primary objective of globalization is to foster development and growth by establishing active relationships among different nations. By creating strong and positive international relationships, countries can achieve mutual self-sufficiency and economic stability. However, so far as this particular thinker is concerned, he has also acknowledged that globalization can be a powerful force that may disproportionately benefit certain countries while posing challenges for others. Okay, despite these concerns, it can also be said that globalization is something which remains a key driver of economic progress and international cooperation. Now, developing nations in particular have the opportunity to leverage the globalization to improve infrastructure, education and healthcare system, and it ultimately enhancing their quality of life and economic potential. Another characteristic is economic stabilization through globalization. One of the fundamental goals of globalization is to achieve economic stabilization among countries. Stabilization refers to the process of achieving a balanced economic environment by addressing disparities in demand and supply across different nations. So far as globalization is concerned, we'll find that it gives emphasis on the movement of goods and services across borders, and it always tries to ensure that countries facing shortages can access necessary commodities from other parts of the world. So, if we'll say about globalization, we can say that this interconnectedness helps in maintaining economic equilibrium and promoting sustainable growth, and which is very important for the overall development of the entire universe or in the entire world. Now, international financial institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank play a crucial role in stabilizing our global economies by providing financial assistance and policy guidance to struggling nations. Another characteristic, these are the main characteristics of globalization. Now, if we see minutely, we'll find that globalization has a global outlook. Now, whenever we are saying about global outlook, what actually we mean? Let us discuss about it. Now, globalization promotes a global perspective by emphasizing the interconnectedness of different regions and culture. It recognizes that no single region operates in isolation and that the world economic and social systems are deeply interlinked. Now, if we give emphasis on globalization, we'll find that it further seeks to create a unified economic system that takes into account the diverse needs and aspirations of different nations. According to Deepak Nayar, globalization provides a platform for growth and development by enabling diverse cultures and communities to impact and collaborate for mutual benefit. A global outlook encourages innovation, cultural exchange, and the sharing of the best practice, contributing to a more inclusive and prosperous world. So, in conclusion, it can be said that so far as globalization is concerned, it is a multifaceted phenomenon that has transformed the way the world operates. From overcoming geographical limitations to fostering economic growth and international cooperation, globalization offers numerous opportunities and challenges. As the world continues to become more interconnected, it is essential to ensure that globalization benefits all nations equitably and promotes sustainable development for future generation. Now, so far as globalization is concerned, all the characteristics are concerned, we have already discussed that from the very definition that we have already discussed in the previous class. We have somehow found that there are some of the important characteristics of globalization. Now, we have found that globalization has an important role in economic, culture, politics and education, and again it has important role in technology, science, etc. Okay. Now, again, we'll find that there are some of the important views which are related to the concept of globalization, and these views has been seen from the different characteristics of globalization. Now, let us discuss about the different views of globalization. Scholars and thinkers have presented different perspectives on globalization, leading to a diverse range of opinion regarding its impact on global development. This perspective can be categorized into several views, each offering unique insights into the role and implication of globalization in the contemporary world. Now, the first view that we'll discuss is the realist view. The realist perspective of globalization suggests that it does not have a significant influence on the internal affairs of sovereign nation. According to realists, the sovereignty of a nation state remains paramount and globalization is unable to exert substantial influence over the policies and decisions of different countries. So far as realists are concerned, they always try to argue that despite the interconnected nature of the world, globalization cannot fundamentally alter the social, political and economic structure of nation. They further emphasize the fact that while globalization may introduce certain external pressures, it ultimately lacks the power of reshape the core values, identities and cultures of societies worldwide. So, it is one of the major statements that has been presented by the realist philosopher for globalization. Again, if we say that realists contended the national interest continue to dictate the actions of the state in the international area, again we'll find that so far as realist philosophers are concerned, they argue that states remain the primary actions in global affairs. Global affairs with globalization serving only as a tool rather than a transformative force. Okay, so it cannot be regarded to be a force, but it is only a tool which has tried to, with the help of which that globalization serving as a tool and it is not a force, and with the help of globalization other transformation has been done. Now, in their view, economic and political alliances formed under the banner of globalization are driven by pragmatic considerations rather than a shift in national priorities or identities. That is why it is said that while globalization may influence certain aspects of international relations, it is not seen as a fundamental game changer in the eye of realist. Okay, for realist philosopher, globalization is only a tool and it's not a force or it's not a game changer. The second view is the developmental view. So far as the developmental view is concerned, we can say that the developmental perspective asserts that globalization has not led to substantial improvement in global development. A proponent of this view argues that despite various efforts to promote global cooperation through initiatives such as the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which is called GATT, established in the year 1947, significant disparities in development persist. They highlight that globalization has not effectively addressed the root causes of poverty and inequality. Instead, it has often been said that that we found that existing disparities between developed and developing countries are still there, and somehow these disparities have been given more. Globalization is something which has given more fuel to these disparities. So, from a developmental point of view or from a developmental standpoint, it can be said that globalization is perceived as a double-edged sword. On the other hand, it has facilitates the movement of goods, services and capital across borders, offering opportunities for economic growth. But on the other hand, it has led to the concentration of wealth and resources in the hands of a few, widening the gap between rich and the poor nations. Critics further argue that globalization favors developed economies that have the capacity to compete in the global market, while developing countries struggle to keep up due to systematic challenges such as inadequate infrastructure, weak governance, and limited access to technology. Additionally, it can be again said that so far as globalization is concerned, it has given emphasis on developmental. It has given emphasis on only developed countries and not developing countries. Development thinkers in this concern has emphasized the negative impact of globalization on local industries and cultures. The influx of foreign products and influences often determines traditional economic structures, leading to job losses and cultural erosion. They also said that without targeted policies and international support, globalization will continue to perpetuate inequality rather than foster inclusive development. Now, another view which can be mentioned in this regard is the liberal view. Now, the supporters of the liberal view believe that globalization has the potential to create and enhance international relationships and cooperation. According to this perspective, globalization fosters a sense of interconnectedness and mutual support among countries, leading to increased economic and social integration. So far as liberals are concerned, they always try to argue that globalization facilitates the free flow of trade, ideas and culture, ultimately promoting economic growth and improving the quality of life of people across the world. Now, from a liberal standpoint, it can further be said that globalization is something which is seen as a catalyst for position change. It encourages open markets, investment and innovation, creating opportunities for economic advancement and cross-cultural exchange. Now, so far as liberal viewpoints is concerned, they have always tried to, liberalist thinker always try to highlight the benefits of globalization, such as access to a wider range of goods and services, increased employment opportunities, and improved living standard. They believe that globalization is a thing which can promote demographic values by encouraging transparency, cooperation, and the exchange of knowledge. Furthermore, the liberal perspective acknowledged the challenge posed by globalization, such as economic disparities and cultural homogenization, etc. However, liberalist thinkers have argued that the challenges can be addressed through effective governance, international collaboration, and policies that ensure equitable distribution of the benefits of globalization. They further advocate for a rule-based global order that promotes fair trade, social justice, and sustainable development. Another which is very important in this context is the Marxist view. So far as the Marxist view is concerned, or so far as the Marxist perspective of globalization is concerned, we'll find that it is critical of its impact on global economic and social system. According to Marxists, globalization primarily serves the interest of capitalism by expanding its reach and influence towards the globe. They further argue that globalization has not introduced any fundamentally new outcome, but has instead reinforced existing capitalist structures that perpetuate economic inequality and exploitation. Now, from a Marxist viewpoint, we can further say that so far as globalization is concerned, it is seen as a tool of capitalist expansion where multinational corporations and powerful economic entities control the global economy to maximize their profits. Again, if we'll give emphasis on Marxist view, we'll find that it contends that globalization leads to the exploitation of labor in developing countries where wages are kept low and working conditions are often poor. They further argue that globalization has resulted in a race to the bottom where countries compete to attract investment by lowering labor and environmental standards. Moreover, it can be said that Marxists believe that globalization exacerbates wealth concentration, with a small elite benefiting from global trade and investment, while the majority of the population struggle to meet their basic needs. They further criticize the role of international financial institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank for imposing policies that prioritize liberalization over social welfare. In their view, globalization actually reinforces systematic inequalities and serves a mechanism for the continuous accumulation of capital by few powerful actors. So, these are the main views which can be given for the globalization. So, in the conclusion, we can say that globalization is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that has transformed the way of countries, business, and individuals interact on a global scale. It has brought numerous benefits such as enhanced communication, improved international relations, and economic growth. However, it also presents significant challenges including economic disparities and cultural homogenization. The various perspectives on globalization highlights the diverse opinions regarding the impact of effectiveness. Realists argue that globalization does not significantly influence sovereign states, while developmental thinkers emphasize its failure to address global inequalities. So far as liberal view on globalization is concerned, we'll find that globalization as a force of positive change fostering economic and social integration, whereas Marxists criticize the role of perpetuating capitalist exploitation. Regardless of this different opinion, globalization remains an integral part of the modern world and continues to shape the future of international relations, trade, and economic development. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, it is essential to consider the diverse perspective of globalization to develop policies and strategies that maximizes its benefits while addressing its challenges. So, this is in brief about the characteristics of globalization, and with the characteristics of globalization we have also discussed about the different views on globalization. So in the first video we have already discussed about the introduction part of the globalization, where we have dealt with introduction and definition. Okay, now on the basis of those introduction and definition, we have further discussed about the various aspects which can be pointed out, or key factors which can be pointed out for globalization. In the second video, we have discussed about the characteristics of globalization and have tried to touch or try to see the major characteristics of globalization. Along with, we have further discussed the different views on globalization. So we have another video on globalization, and the next part will discuss about the other aspects of globalization. I think you have understood what have been discussed in this particular video. Thank you very much.